Welcome back to All Things Cinema. You're watching again after a very long time. Me and Sneha together. Sneha is back on the channel after a very long time, and uh, for the right reasons. I mean, today we are celebrating a decade of this amazing film called Ustad Hotel, and this film came in 2012, which seems like altogether a different era now. When I was revisiting the film, so many things were different back then compared to now. I mean, the small phones and the times we were living in, it's like it was a different phase in my life. I was still in college, and I think Sneha might have been in school or something when the film came. So, Sneha, since we both revisited the film and you had seen it before so many times that you literally remember everything from the film. So, Sneha, I think this film has got a cult status in Kerala. Like just like
Yeah,
Premam or Bangalore Days. I think this film also people like hear how in Bollywood you talk about films like Wasipur or films like Three Idiots or so many films which have this cult following. I think this has it, and for the right reasons, right?
yeah, definitely. And also, I think any movie that is related to food, it, like brings together people.
Yeah,
Because like what they show in the movie, it's also like it's shot very simply, but also it looks very appealing.
yeah.
So yeah, I think food definitely brings together people.
I am so pissed off at Hotstar for putting such a worse print. It's such a bad print, and the sound quality, and it says it claims full HD, but it's not. Okay, so the experience of watching the film on Hotstar was not at all good because it is a film with so much of visual value to it because of the food and the way they have shot and edited it. It would have been a treat to watch it in a theater with proper sound because the music is also pretty good. So Hotstar kind of ruined the experience, but still, it's a good film, so it was still enjoyable. So Sneha, when was the first time you came across the film? Because you are known to be a big Dulquer fan as well.
So I think I saw this movie as part of my initiation to like Malayalam movie. I think the first few Malayalam movies that I saw, like one of them was Ustad Hotel. I think first was Premam, second was Bangalore Days, then Ustad Hotel. So I was completely in that zone, and I think I saw this movie way back in 2017 or 18. So yeah, like my print was quite good because I just downloaded it off the internet and watched it. So it was like quite enjoyable. And back then only like I realized that this was a very like heartwarming and nice family movie. So like after watching this movie, the reason why I've revisited so many times is because whenever I suggest someone like a Malayalam movie, I usually start off with these movies because this gets them initiated into the world and also the actors and what kind of cinema can they expect. So yeah, that's why like I've revisited so many times over the years now, that it's, and also I think it's quite a nice watch, like on days when I'm feeling low or something. It's quite a nice watch because also it's related to food.
Yeah.
And India does not necessarily make a lot of movies around
Mhm.
food, and also food that is like that is shot so well.
Yeah.
So I think this is a very interesting watch for me, and yeah, I still enjoy watching this movie.
Yeah, as you said, India doesn't make a lot of films on food. So a few films came to my mind when I was watching this. So first one was Love Shop the Chicken Khurana, which was, again, not a, it's kind of an underrated film, but there the focus is not as much on the food as it's in Ustad Hotel. And then the other film which came to my mind was the remake of Chef,
Chef,
yeah, what was it called? Uh,
chef. It
okay.
was called Chef.
See, it was so forgetful that I didn't even remember its name. And then there was Dawat-e-Ishq. So there are a few films that people have tried making on food, and there's a very good film called The 100 Foot Journey. It's a Hollywood film. If you have seen, it stars Om Puri and
Right.
Juhi Chawla and a few Hollywood stars as well. So that is one of my favorite films, and Rahman's score is amazing in that.
Yeah.
So in that film, that is one film which comes very close to representing food in a very unique way, and quickly my mind went there, because in that film also, Kadam wants to go to Paris, and so there's that similarity where he wants to be a sous
Yep.
chef.
Right.
And uh,
Also the mix of like traditional food and modern food and
yeah,
combining them.
yeah. I mean, I'm so happy that you have seen that film and you can relate both the films together. And why I said Love Shafta Chicken Kurana again, there was another similarity when if you remember, the younger Kunal Kapoor was played by Vicky Kaushal when he goes
Right.
to his grandfather's room and
Right.
steals some money
Steals
to
the money.
run away. So in this film also, when Dulquer goes to his father's room to get the passport and steal some money. So there, it reminded me of those films, but I think on the whole, this film has a deeper message, like on the philosophical level, and what it tells you about life. And I'm so happy that the film didn't really go on the romantic track, because Bollywood films have a tendency of focusing on the romantic track and then sort of divert away from the main theme. But this film stood firm on the main theme, which they wanted, the story they wanted to tell, and the lessons probably they wanted us to learn from. So for you, like, what really stood out from the film? Was it uh, the journey of Dulquer, or was it the journey of his grandfather or father? Because everyone has different mindsets, different sensibilities, and you can't point a finger that he's right or he's wrong. It's not about right or wrong.
Right. So I think definitely Dulquer's journey was quite inspiring, but also what really struck out for me was the relationship shared by each and every person with Dulquer. Like there's a father-son moment, there's a moment with him and his sisters, there's a moment with him and Nithya Menon, and of course his relationship with his grandfather. So I think the focus on relationships was a very interesting plot point for me, because it also helps him to understand himself. It's not just a food journey, but it is also like a personal journey for him, because he's trying to understand. Like initially, he is, quite aversive to what his father is thinking and doing, but eventually he comes to terms with it and he starts, he tries to make him understand. So I think like it's a personal journey overall, and he's trying to figure out all these different relationships through food, and also of course towards the end there's a deeper message also that comes across.
Yeah, and a couple of things, a couple of dialogues that really stayed with me were, so I don't know in Malayalam, but in English subtitles it went something like, the first one which struck with me was that humans always starve for more and more, but when it comes to food, everyone stops when their stomach is full. So that was one, and the other one was. Anybody can serve food, but it's all about filling the heart with joy, when you
Right.
making somebody eat. So these two things, I think, probably are the theme in the film on which the whole story is based around. And uh, so okay, there are so many good things about the film which makes it a good watch. But now, this film was made a decade ago, right? This film is not 2022, this is 2012. So if this film were to be made today, do you think Anjali Menon would write it the same way? Do you think what was the director's name? I forgot.
Anwar Rashid.
Would he make it the same way? Because I found a few flaws in the film as well, which again, it's important for us to address them.
I think they would make it completely differently, because if you see, Anwar Rashid made Ustad Hotel in 2012 and then Trans in
Yeah,
2021. So
yeah.
that's like a huge gap in itself. But
2020, I think. I
also,
think.
yeah,
Yeah,
2020, something around that. So yeah, that's like a huge transition for him as well.
yeah,
And also, I think with regards to food and what we not just consume, like physically, but what we consume on the internet has changed a lot. So
yeah.
I definitely think if this movie was made today, social media would have played a very important part in this
Mm,
movie.
yeah,
So I think the writing would have been definitely different. I also think in terms of the editing and all, it could have, like, it would have been much more crisp, and it could have drawn a lot of inspiration from what we see in international food films and all. So yeah, I think it would have been different, but like like this movie is still very relatable and heartwarming. It still feels nice to watch this movie. So the connect is still there, but I'm sure the presentation would have been a little different today.
Okay, I think you're talking on very technical terms, like how they could have approached the film. But what I meant now, I'll point out a couple of things to you. So, a couple of angles with which I had a little bit of a problem was, first of all, how in the beginning they have sort of, in a very comic way, they've shown that, one by one, his father would every year make his mother pregnant, and it's a girl, it's a
Yeah.
girl. So 4 times they'll have girls, and they will be disappointed, and, they want a guy. Sorry, they want a baby boy. So I think that in today's era would not have worked. If it had worked in 2012, probably they would have wanted to change that. That was one of them. How the focus was completely on Dulquer throughout the film, his character, Faizi. There's not a lot of focus on the four sisters once, they move out. Yes, at the end, his father reveals that we have a branch in Dubai which is run by his sisters. But I thought, they could have had a little bit more footage for the sisters. They could have played a little bit more role when it comes to, because see, he literally grew up among his sister because he lost his mother. His father was always away for work, so his formative years and how he learned cooking, or how he it started enjoying cooking in the kitchen, was among his sisters, right? So probably they deserved a little bit more footage than what they were provided. And then the other problem which I had was, how poorly, how in such a bad light that foreigner girlfriend was shown. I
Yeah.
mean, uh, that I'm sure Anjali Menon wouldn't write it today.
Yeah.
The same
Yeah.
character, right? Just
Yeah.
because this guy is away in India, and then suddenly you see another guy inside the blanket who's coming out like that. That was
Also, the
not fun.
angle wasn't really needed, I think. That
Yeah,
angle was not required.
yeah,
It could have just simply, like, if like they wanted to really focus on Pezzi, they could have just focused on him.
yeah.
That part wasn't really required.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure when you watched it for the first time in 2016 or 17, probably at that time these things might not have ticked you off as much as they are now. Because, see, in the last few years, it's not just you and me, but the audience in India on the whole have, grown so much because they have consumed good quality content from the West, or, other industries, and especially from Malayalam cinema. We can cut Bollywood some slack because they are known to be cheesy all throughout. But with Malayalam cinema, you expect, a little bit more sensibility, and because as you said, in Anwar Rasheed himself, you have seen such a huge transformation from Ustad Hotel to Trance, right? So
Yeah, I even think like Dulquer's
yeah,
acting skills, like from what
oh
how he
yeah,
performed, like not that like it was bad or anything, but he seemed very raw
yeah,
in Ustad Hotel, and from like now that we see him, he's just completely different. His range has gone
yeah,
like way
yeah,
high.
yeah. I'm glad you came to that, because that was again one of the discussion points I had in mind. That Dulquer, although today these kind of roles would be cakewalk for him, but a 10 year ago, Dulquer Salman is completely, as you said, raw. And a few scenes, it felt that it was kind of an amateur performance, or it fell flat in the few scenes, the dialogue delivery especially. And I think most of the film was dubbing, not sync sound. So that also, I think, for an actor, being a good dubbing artist is as important as being a good actor on screen, right? So his dubbing also didn't really fall in the right place in a few places. So yeah, his arc as an actor, and Anwar Rasheed's arc as a director. Even Anjali Menon, she wrote Bangalore Days after that. So all of these have, come of age by now. So okay, another thing which before we end this discussion, what was your thought on the anticlimax in the film? Because honestly, I didn't expect the kind of end they showed, especially when he goes to Madurai and his whole thought process changes.
I didn't really mind it because, to be very honest, I felt that like over here, like, not that he had to give up his dreams, like he renovated his grandfather's place and like made the place completely different, but also at the same time the food remains similar. So I think his connect to what he really wanted to make, and what I think that also served as an inspiration. Like, food does not really necessarily need to be like fancy food that you need to cook.
Yeah.
Like, soul food is what really matters in the end. Like, what you cook like should come from your soul and should make people happy. So I didn't really mind the ending, and I thought that it was quite apt for the storyline. But what I found really interesting was that I did not really anticipate that his grandfather would actually just leave everything and just
Yeah.
like go on a pilgrimage.
I
But
thought
I thought
I
that
thought
ending was quite interesting.
I thought he died because the way they
Oh,
give him the news that he has left us. Okay,
yes,
English subtitles, they said
yes.
he left us. So I thought he died. I mean, maybe in Malayalam he meant something else, that he left. The English subtitle said he left us. So I thought he died,
Yep.
and then at the end they show him
Yeah,
at
same.
Ajmer.
Exactly. And exactly, like I also thought that he passed away or
Yeah.
just something happened. But I think that it was a nice angle to the whole story, that he was just done with all
Yeah.
of this. He
The
just wanted to
materialistic, yeah.
materialist. Yeah, he just wanted to pursue his own thing, go on his own spiritual journey. So I think that was an interesting angle for me. But yeah, I really like the ending though. I did not really mind it.
Okay. Have you seen Soul, the animated film?
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
the dialogue from Soul, that your spark is not your purpose. So these are two different things. So that came to my mind when I was watching this film. I felt that probably his spark was making a very different kind of food and European cuisine and everything. But at the end, he found his purpose to feed the poor. That's why probably his grandfather sent him to his friend to actually understand the bigger purpose in life. So as you said that he didn't really give up on his dreams. He ended up renovating his grandfather's place and did what he did what he loved,
Yeah,
right? He still cooked
right.
there, and he got the love of his life. And his father was also, he made amends with him, so it was a happy ending at the end. But yeah, overall, I think 10 years of Ustad Hotel, it really deserved a podcast on the channel, and I'm sure the audience would have enjoyed our conversation here.